Dear viewers, great friends, what a pleasure to be with you once more. Today it's Friday evening. My name is Emmanuel CHIANGONG, your host on Shadows. And Shadows is just excited to be with you once more with a beautiful message again this Friday. We'll be talking on the human touch that heals. But let Shadows welcome us. Shadow, shadow, shadow. Where are you? Here am I. I am shadow, I am shadow, I am in you, I am with you, I am visible, I am invisible. Everyone, everything has a shadow. It grows and matures with us as the day moves on, changing in lengths and angles. From birth to death, my shadow stays with me, appearing and disappearing. When I am invisible, I am under you, and we call this midday. When I am longest, I am impressive, and we call this dawn or twilight. The shadow is that part of us, that part of our story and memory we are not proud of. That part of our experience we are not very comfortable with. It can as well be the element of pride, contempt, and arrogance we ignore or are not aware of. That which haunts us, scares us, makes us shiver, revealing our doubts, fears, and uncertainties. The shadow can also be the shade in which you hide when you are in challenging times, when the sun is very high and the heat is very tough. You look for a shadow just to let yourself chill down. Shadow, you make us question our outcome. You are really hard to bear, and at times we resign and surrender to you as we realize shadows will always be there with us. Whenever you have the shadow, know the light is close by. We only have the dark because there is the light. The shadow is the product of the light. When you have the shadow, look to the opposite and you will see the light. Don't look to the shadow, don't look to your pain. Look to the wisdom, the grace that comes on the other side of your pain. Ask your pain to lead you to the light that changes your life. Bring us your shadow. Bring us your shadow. Finally, let them come to rest. Finally, let them build a purpose in our lives. Let your shadow be, let your shadow be, let your shadow be, and smile. Just like the creed says, of course, there's always a time for you to, go back to look at the elements that make us feel like we've lost it all. And today we want to talk about touch with a very special approach. The human touch that heals. When we talk about touch, there are many ways we can touch, but we want to look at the touching with the hands. These hands are a marvelous part of our body, and we are going to develop some knowledge on it. But first, I want us to listen to a young lady, very impressive lady. She's in her 30s. Her name is Hattie Eloyd. Hattie was in South Africa. When, like 15 years ago, she was still a teenager. And she had this exceptional grace to be part of an orphanage. And she came up with this discussion on learning the power of human touch at an African orphanage. Hattie's discussion is yours, is one of your neighbors, is one of us. And some of you will feel directly connected to her story as she reveals to us her experience with children in an orphanage who came with different challenging situations, and she came up with an understanding on the mystery and the power of the human touch. Let us listen to Hattie Eloyd.
How did your involvement with the South African orphanage change your approach to philanthropy and volunteerism?
It was hard. I was 15, when I first started working with them, and you're dealing with babies who've been thrown into bushes. Some of them are, look on the outside aesthetically okay. Some of them have horrible, skin diseases, and no one wants to touch them. So one thing I learned very quickly was the power of human touch, especially with the babies who were who didn't have skin conditions and looked a little healthier, and the younger children got got held a lot more and rocked, and I think I noticed very quickly how powerful it was, especially with the children who physically were tough to look at, or or missing limbs, or whatever the case may be, that how important it was for them to be held. They could be, crying all day or not talk to anyone and kind of be in the corner and looking, at their crib. And if you even held them for 15 minutes, their whole temperament and their eyes lit up, and they might have been really little, but just like the human touch, I can't say enough for it. And it's something I learned a lot in Africa in general, that babies, and it's not a white thing. It's definitely, African women, constantly, whether they're cleaning or cooking, have the babies strapped to their chest. And these just seem like the most loved little babies. But I think that just because they don't have mothers, like at the orphanages, they don't get held like that. And after kind of in Africa seeing that happen so much, that was like my job. I always had babies strapped to me because that human contact and sentience really, like, it did more than any kind of medicine or anything for these children. It kind of just, even them in their, in their tiny fragile state, I could see kind of brought them happiness and optimism. So,
how did learning about the value of the human touch kind of shape your behavior after that experience?
I became more affectionate. I was never affectionate before then, which is funny. Kind of made me more affectionate with my friends and family and people I loved. And again, it just made me reevaluate the simple stuff that really shapes people's lives and is important. And to think that, there's a lot to be said for, these children need so much. They need food, they need antiretrovirals, they need shelter. But little, I guess, it made me reconsider the importance of tiny, simple pleasures in life that are of real, true meaning and consequence.
Wow. It made me feel and understand the depth of simple and tiny pleasures. Hattie's experience can be very challenging. Most of the time, she was 15 when she had this experience. Today, she is a philanthropist, she's a social worker. She brings a lot of energy into the lives of people who are heavily challenged. And she's doing this great work from a joy that she discovered at the age of 15. At the age of 15, what were you doing? What were your parents, encouraging you to do? What were you interested in? Going to an orphanage, seeing dirty children who are messed up, who don't have anything to be proud about, who don't even believe life is a right for them. Aujourd'hui, nous allons parler le toucher humain qui guérit, qui sauve, qui guérit. Et là, on vient de partager l'expérience de Hattie Lloyd qui a passé un temps dans un orphelinat en Afrique du Sud où les enfants étaient jetés abandonnés, beaucoup avec la gale sur le corps, malades, tristes et misérable. Et elle passait le temps à découvrir. Elle avait 15 ans, pas souffrant, d'une famille bien. Mais elle a pensé que cette expérience a complètement révolutionné sa propre vie parce qu'elle ne connaissait pas la valeur des petits bonheurs, des choses simples, comme un merci, comme un sourire, comme embrasser quelqu'un, dire merci, souris, bonjour, s'il vous plaît. Ces petites valeurs, elle ignorait. Après cette expérience, sa vie a complètement changé. Elle était plus compassionnée, plus attentionnée et plus dans la gratitude des petits biens qu'on fait le jour au lendemain à tous ceux qui nous entourent. Mais il y a quelque chose qu'elle a dit, les mamans africaines attachent le bébé sur leur corps. Donc, on est des enfants élevés dans la présence de toucher en permanence. African mothers attach babies around, they strap babies around their bodies. And so we are continuously touched as they are cleaning, washing, cooking, farming, the baby is attached to them. We don't understand what a blessing this has been. She discovered that we were permanently touched by a loving, caring mother and family members, and it makes us a unique being. This value is being dropped around. We are handing over these children to house helps who don't have the compassionate connection to these children. Aujourd'hui, on est en train de perdre ces valeurs. On n'attache plus les bébés sur nos dos, sur nos corps, on dit que la paille va écraser les poitrines et les seins. Mais nous, on est le résultat de cet amour éternel qui venait de nos mamans, nos tantes, nos grandes sœurs, parce qu'on était en permanence attachés comme des bébés, donc en contact, on était touchés en contact. Et ça fait la magie de la qualité des humains que les Africains sont. Et elle a dit, ça c'est quelque chose africain, mais est-ce que les Africains continuent à le faire? Est-ce que nous avons les pouces dans lesquels les bébés sont attachés aujourd'hui, pas sur notre corps, et on les pousse comme des bagages, tu vois un peu. So we are pushing the babies now in little trucks. You call them chariot. Give them the nicest name, but they are not longer attached to us. They cannot feel the heat from our body, the odor from our body. They cannot feel the energy, that radiates from a mother, a loving mother. So touch is a very essential aspect of the human existence and survival. For most of the time, it has been restricted because more and more we have barriers growing around us, and we have fences growing around us, and we even have couples sleeping in different rooms. So touch is becoming rarer and rarer, and at times we have to seek for audience even to meet our parents and discuss. We used to just rush to the parents, jump on them with the mud from our dresses, and they hugged us and then thought of cleaning the dress afterwards. Today, they say, hey, stop over there. Where are you going to with that nasty little kata on your face and so on, So we are saying that the consequences are devastating today because there is isolation, anxiety, depression, even suicidal thoughts because of the loneliness, because of the barriers, because there is a deprivation of touch. Tactile deprivation. Nous avons une déprivation tactile aujourd'hui. Le constat est de plus en plus grave. L'isolement, l'anxiété, la dépression et même les pensées suicidaires qui dominent de plus en plus parce qu'on n'a plus cette communication qui est au-delà de tous les mots, le toucher. De temps en temps, on va penser qu'on maîtrise la situation, mais on est en train de supporter quelque chose qui va s'exploser. Et de plus en plus, ces comportements avec des troubles mentaux qui dominent parmi des personnes normalement bien présentables, mais qui ont des comportements, des sautes de colère, des humeurs qui balancent tout le temps. So, more and more we see people well dressed, with good postures, but strange behavior, a lot of aggressivity happening more and more because the distances are increasing and it's getting more and more difficult to touch. So because of the great things that touch does, which is like the mother of the senses because we have 5 of them, and touch is like communicating most of the solutions about the emotional challenges that we are going through. So there is a craving for touch. Humans are missing touch. It is a very positive experience that we need. When this touch is abusive, it becomes very detrimental to our survival. And that is why whenever we use touch to hurt people, the scars, the traumas can be there for a very long time. We know what happens when we meet victims of rape. Le toucher représente la mer de communication à travers les sens. Et nous savons que quand le toucher est abusif, le mal descend très profondément en tant qu'un traumatisme, très profondément dans l'existence de l'être. Et il est important qu'on essaye de comprendre cela. On those images, you see our practice when we have to touch under therapeutic conditions. We have to understand that when we don't have the touch in the family settings, we may have to look for professional touch to compensate, and it can come through beauty therapy services, like you have a back facial going there, through massage services. And there are other situations where we can touch even when we don't have the family near us, or we don't have someone near us that can bring in the touch. It is very important that we try to appreciate how these therapies can go a long way to heal us and rebuild the balance that we need to face the challenges of every day. As a psychotherapist and as a massage therapist and a mind-body therapist for over 40 years, I am very involved and concerned with the psychological application of touch in a professional setting for healing. I'm not just concerned about the manipulation of soft tissues or the articular movements around the joints. It is also important that we look at the psychological implications of touch. Alors donc, toucher occupe une place centrale à travers laquelle on peut apporter un bien-être inestimable à notre existence. Nous avons les 5 sens à travers lesquels on peut toucher, on peut communiquer à nos émotions, à nos besoins émotionnels, mais le toucher est comme la maman, la mère de tous ces sens, parce que ces implications touchent profondément à notre existence. Nous savons comment, lorsqu'il est abusif, son effet peut être profondément désagréable, un traumatisme profond. En tant que psychothérapeute, une esthéticienne, coiffeur, masseur, dans mon travail, j'ai été rapidement, très tôt dans mon métier, exposé au pouvoir du toucher quand je fais le shampoing, je fais le soin du visage, le massage, quand j'apporte de l'attention à mes clients, je voyais et je ressentais autre chose au-delà de juste prendre soin des gens. Il y avait une communication à travers les doigts et une communication qui revenait des clients lorsqu'on les touchait sur les épaules, le cuir chevelu, les jambes, sur le dos, pendant les différents soins, qui disaient qu'il y avait beaucoup plus que la beauté. Il y avait quelque chose comme le bien-être, une sorte de merci qu'on pouvait ressentir. Les muscles, les tensions dans les muscles, les réactions, ou une certaine énergie qui nous faisait savoir que la personne était contente avec ce qu'on venait de faire, la personne se sentait apaisée. Il y avait une sorte de merci qui communiquait. Ça veut dire que toucher, communiquer au-delà des mots, on avait la possibilité d'apprécier des émotions beaucoup plus profondes qui se passaient à l'intérieur. So when we touch, it is above 1,000 words. There is goodness in touch. If you have a body, touch is beneficial from birth, that is in the cradle to the grave. As we touch, you will realize that therapists in terminal disease counseling are using touch as a powerful tool to accompany those who have accepted that this is the moment for them to go. And touch makes this transition a wonderfully peaceful one. In my mental health training, I had the grace of being accompanied by late Professor Bamen Samenya, this great personality that we don't talk much about, who has revolutionized mental health and psychotherapy and all night mental health and psychology in Cameroon. This great man accompanied us in the terminal disease counseling training, which gave us the opportunity to know that even when we are at the doorstep out of the world, a therapist plays a wonderful role. I seize this opportunity to encourage and congratulate all psychologists, psychotherapists, clinical counselors, all these great people who are doing wonderful jobs, social workers, you know, and some doctors or nurses who have developed the greatness of touch, because their works are not praised like stars on television, but I know in those silent moments there is a part of you that you give to these people at moments when no other person can bring peace and well-being to their lives. I wish to encourage you in that wonderful work you are doing, because the grace and the universe is aware. Touch is soothing, it is supporting, it connects, it helps us get through hard times. Toucher est très puissant, il soutient, il nous permet de traverser les moments très difficiles. Et il y a des gens qui ont perdu le leur et le deuil est très compliqué. La plupart du temps, tu ne peux rien leur dire. Et de moments, il faut juste être à côté, mettre la main sur leurs épaules et ne rien dire. Et vous allez voir que ce poids de la perte, de la séparation et toute l'anxiété, la dépression qui accompagne cela devient facile à porter. Ce sont des moments très difficiles pour ceux qui ont déjà vécu cela. Je profite de cela pour féliciter et encourager tous les psychologues, les psychothérapeutes, les clinical counselors et toutes ces personnes, social workers, qui sont souvent en train d'accompagner les êtres humains à des moments où il n'y a pas la télévision ni la publicité. À ce moment-là, il y a une partie de vous que vous cédez pour accompagner les gens, où les mots ne peuvent rien faire. Et souvent, c'est avec les mains qui touchent, les mots qui touchent. Et souvent, vous comprenez les résultats quand ces personnes sont apaisées, même s'ils sont à la phase où ils acceptent qu'ils vont quitter le monde. Nous allons continuer à parler de ce formidable sujet, le toucher qui guérit, the touch, the human touch that heals. We are going to continue developing, but before that, let us have this transition, after which we'll listen to the sacred music. It is coming from no other person than Yanni. He's a great fellow, and he will be talking about the truth of touch. So let's have our transition jingle, and we'll move on to the special music, the sacred music from Yanni, titled The Truth of Touch. Welcome back to the studio. That was Yanni. I don't have any comments. You just go research on Yanni, gather as much vibe. The truth of touch. The woman with the issue of blood came from behind Jesus and touched the border of his garment. And immediately her flow of blood stopped. For she said, if only I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well. She felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. Who touched me? Jesus asked. When they all denied, Peter said, Master, people are crowding and pressing against you. But Jesus said, someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me. I know that power has gone out of me. She came, admitted, and told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. She said, he said, Jesus said, daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. I know because some power has left from me. We have the power that left our mother's back onto our chest all the time that she carried us. That powerful embrace that reassured you as your children ran to you, as your loved one closed up with you, reminded you that you were not alone. It was some power that came to you. And our Lord was so elevated to know most of the time the power leaves you to others, but you are not aware because you are not conscious of your being. This is a beautiful example of the human touch that heals, the power of touch that heals. We have a very beautiful discussion in the book review that will go again to highlight some great people who are on this earth. And before that, we'll have a transition and a commercial break. And after that commercial break, we will go to the book review, and a great man called Dr. Paul Brands is the story and his work in helping the leprosy people in India. A powerful work. We will listen to this great medical doctor, an evangelist who was out there to use his faith in Christ to heal people of nationalities and traditions that he did not have anything to know. Donc après la transition et une petite rubrique commerciale, nous allons visiter le livre. Le livre qu'on va visiter aujourd'hui s'appelle La douleur que personne a besoin de. The pain, a gift that nobody wants. La douleur, un cadeau que personne ne veut. Mais on va voir que c'est vraiment un cadeau. Et c'est le docteur, un chirurgien spécialiste des recherches dans la lèpre, yes, leprosy. Il a travaillé en Inde pour guérir dans un pays très lointain, une maladie que tout le monde fuyait. Le docteur Brands, Paul a quitté l'Angleterre, les États-Unis pour aller à l'Inde pour soigner. On va voir son histoire et ce qu'il a partagé avec nous. Alors, on va voir. We'll just have this transition and then the commercial break, and we'll come to the book review. Thank you. So we can have the commercial break, please. We can have the spot come up. Like we said, we'll be discussing the book of Paul Brands, but before that we can have the spot on CHIANGONG Hair Beauty and Fashion School and Academy. As we prepare for the spot to come up, we start lighting the lamp for the book review. Beautiful. So we have the light here with us, and we have to discuss the book, The Pain, the Gift Nobody Wants. The writer and the story is about Paul Brand, co-authored with Philip Yancey, but the whole story is about Paul himself and his journey in the lives of leprosy patients. We want to know that even in the Bible, leprosy is considered a taboo, like a curse, and this stigmatization of leprosy brought a lot of misery in communities and in the people who suffered from this disease. And before I go into the story of Paul, I want us to appreciate a small write-up by Dr. Everett Koop, medical doctor, Surgeon General. Yes, of course, we can have the spot now, and then we'll go back to the book.
Is beauty your passion? Do you doubt your natural talents? Do you have free time to idle around each day and more? CHIANGONG Hair Beauty and Fashion School and Academy offers you a successful career. Graduates and school dropouts alike develop competence in hairdressing, beauty therapy, therapeutic massage, special makeup, nail art, spa management, and so much more. An international and bilingual school and academy since 1984. Accredited by the Ministry of Employment and Vocational Training. CHIANGONG Hair Beauty and Fashion. Creativity with discipline. More than 35 years of experience. Head office 545 Rue Sylvanie Bernabe, Akwadouala, Cameroon. Contact +237 675 882872 or 677 856768. Bonamoussadi Agency, Viva Coiffure, Enio Building Zone A, Douala. Contact +237 653 560196. Facebook, Emmanuel CHIANGONG.
Thank you very much for that commercial break and the beautiful message communicated through that commercial there about this lovely beauty school that's changing lives. And so we're going back to our friend Dr. Paul Brands, the physician. He was born in 1914 and he left this world at a mature age in 2003, and we are so proud of him for what he has done. And of course, he was the first medical doctor to prove that leprosy actually was a nerve disease and not a tissue infection. And we call him the pioneer in leprosy research, and his main activity was in India, a very compassionate person. Let us hear in the words of Everett Koop, who is a medical doctor. And in a little citation here, he did like the foreword for this book, and he said, "What a joy to see Paul Brand in action. Humble when he could have been proud, kind above and beyond the need of the moment, gentle to what might seem an unnecessary degree, and finally competent with a capital C." Wow. Anybody, a true professional, will want to be described in these words. And I am recommending this book to all medical practitioners, all human touchers, all in any field that you may be. If you touch humans and you work for people's well-being, this book will be a powerful stimulant for you. Pain, the gift nobody wants. You have it here. And of course, if we have the picture, you can also put it by the side of this image. Another statement from Everett described his encounter with Paul when the wife had a challenge after a surgery. Paul Brand is as good a hand surgeon as there is in the world. So I took my wife to a public health service meeting in Phoenix, Arizona, where I knew Paul would be on the program. I asked whether he would see her in consultation, which he willingly and immediately did. In watching his interaction with my wife and her hand, everything I'd heard and known about Paul Brand came into exquisite focus. His humility was evident from the start. His gentleness was unbelievable. His kindness in the assessment of her condition and in the advice he gave her was enough to make up for the bad news he had to deliver. And of course, competence undergirded it all. I mean, why I am discussing this book is that ask yourself, is anybody thinking of you these terms where you work? Is there any client you have served that has received such an emotional touch from you? You know, because, you know, we do this work as a service to mankind, and sometimes we do it as if it's punishment. Anyway, nightmares of painlessness. Painlessness is because leprosy patients don't feel pain, but they are nightmares. You know, when you feel pain, you cry, you know, you cry, you lament, and you wail, and the whole world knows you're feeling pain. This is nightmare in painlessness. You have never imagined what it means if that pain is taken away. Lorsqu'on a des douleurs atroces, on crie scandale, on demande pourquoi moi. Mais ici, il y a l'absence de douleur qui est un cauchemar. Vous n'avez pas imaginé ce que ça peut être si tu ne ressens plus les douleurs. On dit que, ok, comme tu te plains trop, à partir de maintenant, tu ne ressentiras plus de douleurs. Oh my God. I don't want you to wish it. But let's see. For good and for ill, the human species has among its privileges the preeminence of pain. C'est un privilège de sentir la douleur, selon Paul. We have the unique ability to step outside ourselves and self-reflect by reading a book about pain, for example, or by summoning up the memory of a terrifying ordeal. Some pains, the pain of grief or emotional trauma, have no physical stimulus whatever. They are states of mind concocted by the alchemy of the brain. Lorsqu'un souvenir vient nous faire mal, est-ce que c'est parce que quelqu'un nous a piqué avec une aiguille ou nous a giflé? Non. On a la capacité de fabriquer la douleur avec notre esprit. This feat of consciousness makes it possible for suffering to loiter in the mind long after the body's need for it has passed. Paul dit des fois cette douleur devait arrêter à quelques moments, mais on ne laisse pas, on continue à tourner ça dans notre esprit, ça devient la déprime, ça devient des douleurs. Pourtant, on a la capacité de dire que j'ai souffert assez, je laisse comme ça. Mais nous, on a cette rare grâce de pouvoir manufacturer et fabriquer la douleur et le faire s'étendre pendant des mois, même des années, parce qu'on garde rancune et quelque chose. Yet, they also give us the potential to attain an outlook that will change the very landscape of the pain experience. We can learn to cope and even triumph. Si tu peux fabriquer la douleur, ça veut dire que tu as le pouvoir de l'éliminer également. Donc, voilà la conclusion de Paul. Quel message, quel rappel. What a message, what a reminder. Mais il y a un travail qui est celle de ceux qui travaillent pour apporter bonheur, bien-être, la santé à tous ceux qui viennent en pleurant, qui ont des douleurs. Je parle des psychologues, les psychothérapeutes, les conseillers cliniques, les services sociaux, les médecins, les infirmières, et toutes ces personnes qui doivent toucher pour guérir. Il dit, a surgeon does not slip from his mother's womb with compassion smeared upon him like the drippings of his birth. It is much later that it comes. No easy shaft of grace this, but the cumulative murmuring of the numberless wounds he has dressed, the incisions he has made, all the sores and ulcers and cavities he has touched in order to heal. In the beginning, it is barely audible, a whisper as from many mouths. Slowly it gathers, rising from the streaming flesh until at last it is a pure calling. C'est une citation de Mortal Lessons by Richard Serger. La compassion, on n'est pas né avec. Il est cultivé par la pratique, toutes les douleurs, toutes les blessures qu'on a guéries, tous les pansements qu'on a réalisés, toutes les césariennes qui ont été faites, tous les apaisements, la tendresse, les touchés qui apaisent. Tout ce travail avec le temps finit par nous rendre compassionnés, attentionnés, aimables et apaisants. Ce n'est pas quelque chose qui est héritier de notre papa. C'est quelque chose qui vient avec du travail. Et je dis ça à tous ceux qui doivent être un jour en train de prier. Priez pour les médecins. Priez pour tous les professionnels de la santé. Santé physique, santé mentale, santé tout court. Pray when you pray for doctors. Pray for nurses. Pray for healers. Pray for all those who are in the healing industry. helping to appease men because men are traumatized. Managing pain, la gestion de la douleur, managing of pain. Here, I have expressed my suspicion that in Western countries, at least, people have grown increasingly less competent at handling pain and suffering. When pain emerges, the siren sound, an average person trusts his or her own resource less and the experts more. I believe that more important steps in pain management is to reverse the process. We in the medicine needs to restore our patients' confidence in the most powerful healer in the world, the human body. Vous avez la capacité de vous guérir. Il ne faut pas toujours crier et attendre que le médecin vienne vous guérir. Il y a quelque chose en vous qui peut gérer cette douleur mieux que tous les médicaments. On encourage les médecins de rappeler à tous les malades qu'ils ont le guérisseur en eux-mêmes et qu'eux, ils viennent seulement en appui. Let the doctors, let all the therapists remind the patients that they have the potential to heal and they have the greater part of it, and that the doctors and the healers and the well-being professionals, they only come in to, put some more, grease to their elbows, just come to support the system. You can keep reading this book, Pleasure and Pain. Sometimes he gave this very beautiful example. In Italy, when all the warfare, terror, bloodshed was all over the place, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and the Renaissance was born. In Switzerland, when brotherly love was strong and everything was looking good, for 500 years, democracy was doing all they invented was the cuckoo clock. So sometimes, it's humorous though, but sometimes the pain brings the wonderful grace, like the pain of delivery that brings a beautiful baby. So let us have this little transition and we will move on to the concluding part where we will discuss the therapy through the 5 senses and what we are doing in our practice and the healing elements that we come and share here with you all the time. Alors on va avoir cette petite transition et nous allons revenir sur la psychothérapie à travers les 5 sens qui est la pratique que nous faisons et les conseils qui vont avec et quel est le rôle que vous pouvez jouer dans votre propre vie pour rester heureux et reconnaissant que vous pouvez ressentir la douleur et qu'il ne faut plus pleurer quand la douleur vient. Il faut plutôt lui prendre comme ton ami et le demander de te guider vers la lumière parce que la douleur, c'est l'ombre. Il va vous amener vers la lumière. So pain is the shadow if you want, but just look the other side, you will see the light. So we'll have a little transition and we'll continue to encourage you to discover more through reading and encourage your children to read. Please put the telephones and the, whatever, the televisions should come at moments when you have shadows like this, when you have the, things like shadows. Come and watch TV. And then, of course, read. Let them read the books. So we'll have a little transition with our jingle, and we'll go on to look at the different healing tools and the concept of shadows and how we will continue to look forward to touch that heals. Welcome back to Shadows. Always a pleasure to have you. And if you are just joining, please be still. Peace be still. Like the great one said, I am with you. You should be still. I mean, just follow. Live the journey. Just feel in it. Il faut être calme quand on regarde Shadows. Il faut vivre Shadows. Il faut partager. Il faut être dans la mouvance. Et ici, we are going to look at the brain. In neuroscience, they tells you that your body is flooded with cortisols. Those are the stress hormones. And touch sends a special message that says reverse the process. Bring us oxytocin, bring us dopamine. And what happens? Joy comes in, bonding comes in, healing comes in, pain is taken away. It's very, very important. And what happens if you don't have professional assistance, if you are alone? Take some time to be pampering yourself. How do you take a bath? Do you sing? Does the water touch you when it flows down your body? How do you rub yourself? Do you do it lovingly or you just hate yourself? How do you use the towel, to pamper your body? Do you let it move around You nicely gliding and going down the feet. Do you love it? And how do you moisturize your body? Do you pamper and caress yourself, from the toes, or you just rub your body like a basket? Do you just caress it nicely, loving the looks on your feet, pampering your face? Do you lovingly touch yourself? Comment est-ce que vous faites quand vous êtes seul? Des fois on est seul, des fois on est appelé à être seul. Comment vous vous touchez? Dans la douche, quand vous vous lavez, est-ce que vous ressentez l'eau qui coule sur vous? Il vous touche, cette eau. On avait parlé de ça. Comment vous vous frottez? Comme un sac de manioc, ou bien vous poncez avec un ponçage aimable et ressentez le mouvement de la main qui touche les pieds. Et après, le serviette, comment il fait? Vous vous frottez comme, je ne sais pas, comme une grattoir, ou bien le serviette en coton glisse sur votre corps, vous imbibez, enlevez l'excès d'eau. Et comment vous quittez la douche pour aller vous asseoir, vous oint? Et vous oint même comment? Vous vous frottez comme un sac, je ne sais pas, comme un panier, ou bien vous vous caressez avec douceur. Avec douceur. Est-ce que vous donnez du temps pour cela? Est-ce que vous ressentez la douceur de vos mains? Do you feel the touch of your hand as it caresses your face? Are you aware you are touching the ears, the cheeks, the neck? What are the movements like? Are you conscious? Do you savor the perfume of your moisturizer and the touch of your hands? Est-ce que vous ressentez ce toucher ou bien vous êtes en train de courir d'un endroit à un autre? C'est déjà le toucher que vous faites et un toucher agréable. Cela vous apporte bonheur. Il vous arrive de vous positionner là où le vent souffle, où la nature vous baigne. Cet frôlement de l'air sur votre corps quand le vent souffle, au lieu de courir, marchez avec élégance, chers amis. Ressentez le vent qui vous frôle, qui vous caresse, des effleurages par les vents. It's very important. Do you take time to play with children? Do you embrace them? Do you run around? Do you fall on the grass? Do they jump on you? Do they dance on your back? Lovely touches. Est-ce que les enfants jouent avec vous? Est-ce que vous courez, vous tombez sur les herbes? Vous allez à Paco Vita avec les enfants? Est-ce qu'ils dansent sur votre corps? Vous riez, vous tombez partout comme des bébés, vous tous. Do you do that? This is very important. And then, of course, it is very important that you even be attentive to your surroundings. Quand vous touchez les plantes, est-ce que vous ressentez que c'est des éléments vivants? Vous nettoyez les feuilles, vous entretenez votre jardin, vos pieds touchent le sol, pas des chaussures, pieds nus. Est-ce que vous ressentez souvent qu'il y a un échange qui se passe à ce moment, que vous recevez comme vous donnez? The touch that comes on around us every day is very, very important. Certains de vous ont des chats à la maison, des chiens. Vous aimez les chevaux. Some of you have domestic animals. When they come and like the cat and they move around your body, they love touch. Animals, they love touch. And you also touch them and you feel their touch. You find the dogs welcoming you when you're coming back from work at the end of the day. Do you actually feel it? Psychotherapy through the five senses actually will go through the eyes when you look at the lighting, like you saw the lighting of the candles. Be careful about the lighting in your home. It's also there when you have the smell, the essence, you have them here. You also have it with the essential oils we have here. And they are beautiful essence with therapeutic values. It comes with the sound, the beautiful sounds. You listen to Yanni, and we have different ways. You can play the sound, you can listen to them. It can be the sound of birds. Ça peut être le son des oiseaux. Et les danses traditionnelles. I mean, we have it. In Africa, we are so blessed. We have those sounds. It can be touch, but the touch is the mother of the senses. It can be what we eat, the taste of it, what we eat. It can as well be certainly the sound. And of course, the smells, the essence, the perfumes that you use, les parfums que vous utilisez, il faut que ça soit thérapeutique, que ça vous remonte, que ça vous apaise. Les essences que vous diffusez, que vos maisons soient éclairées par un professionnel, parce que l'éclairage peut vous donner une autre qualité de bien-être, d'apaisement, de sommeil profond. Il est important surtout dans les chambres des enfants. Let's not just throw lights all over the place because we want to spend some money and look like the neighbors. You know, think of it. All of these things influence our lives all day. Peut-être le mariage était quelque chose de très important à la fin de la journée parce que quand on est des enfants, on se touche comme on veut, on s'amuse. Mais quand on grandit, on est obligé d'être séparés parce que toucher cette fois-ci est géré par des normes. Et le mariage donne la possibilité que les gens se touchent dans les normes et se touchent bien. Donc, ne vous mariez pas si vous ne pouvez pas vous toucher comme il faut. Don't get married if you cannot be touching as it is, because as children we touched freely and enjoyed touching. There were no rules. But as adults, you can't touch as you want. Then marriage gives the opportunity for us to touch nicely, purposefully, and objectively, and forever. So don't get married if you will not be touching all the time and enjoy touching, because this is a dynamic that heals and uplifts us. And I just said that most of the times it is these reflections that make us go back to see the wisdom in the things that we touch. And touching can touch up to different levels. We want you to touch at the level of the memory, touch at the level of the intellect, touch at the level of the breath, touch at the level of the ego, and touch at the level of the self. In that way, life can be peaceful. It's always so beautiful being on Shadows. We can keep talking, but I want us to have always at the end a little meditation on touch. And I want us to touch ourselves today. On va faire une petite méditation pour quitter la scène. Et lorsqu'on va faire cette méditation, c'est pour nous toucher. Je veux qu'on se touche. Parce que souvent, il peut arriver qu'on n'a personne qui va nous toucher. Et puis, bien sûr, on peut demander le toucher professionnel d'un thérapeute, d'une masseuse, d'une esthéticienne, d'un coiffeur peut nous toucher, bien sûr. On peut aussi faire des vacances pour être touché par la nature, ainsi de suite. Bon, cette fois-ci, comment est-ce qu'on peut se toucher agréablement et pour s'apaiser comme une routine chaque matin, chaque soir, quand on se lève du lit et le soir avant de dormir. On va voir cette musique qui sont des sons naturels que nous allons être un peu connecté à ce son. Et puis, on va faire ce voyage. So we are going to do the touch of the self in a meditative manner. And we are going to do it under the sound of this beautiful nature. And sit up, let your, vertebra can be straight, your feet be relaxed on the ground on the feet, relax your shoulder, and remember to smile always. So let us have this sound coming. Breathe with your stomach as you smile, cover your eyes. Just listen to the beautiful sounds of the birds singing, and the river flowing, the spring, and just relax your shoulders and bring your hands together like I'm doing. Rapprocher les mains. Smile to your hands and feel the little warmth in those hands. And then just move your hands to your face and move upwards to the center of your face. And move downwards by the side as you breathe out. And you breathe in as you move upwards. And breathe out as you move downwards, and keep smiling. Enjoy the beauty and the warmth of your hand on your face. And keep smiling. Move from inside the nose, under your eyes, above the cheekbones. And again. Move outwards under the cheekbones, And keep smiling. Move upwards on the eyebrows to the temples. And you move again. You're doing this 3 times. And you move to the ears. And you just massage them gently as you smile. Release your shoulders. Then you keep moving upward. And the 3rd time. And you move to the little depression here. Rotate 3 times clockwise, 3 times anti-clockwise. And in the middle ear, just 3 times. Gently, gently. And your hands move over to your neck. And you just caress the neck nicely. Just feel it. And your shoulders, just press on them gently. And cross your hands and just press on them gently, 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 and gently. Just do this nicely, nicely. And you touch yourself and you embrace yourself and love this rock, this self you have just embraced. And you caress your chest gently, and the women feel the beauty of the breasts and the gentleness, and be gentle with them. And then the stomach area also, be really nice, laissez-fleurage. Go to the back, nicely. Go to the back, nicely. This is beautiful. And now on your legs, and you go down to your feet and slowly come back to the start position. This you can practice always, morning and evening, and you will get better as you practice. So we slowly come out of the meditation as the music dies out slowly also. So this was an exercise. We always learn something when we come to Shadows. On apprend toujours quelque chose. Si vous êtes un peu mécanique, dur avec votre corps, ce n'est pas un problème. Au fur et à mesure, vous allez développer la douceur et la tendresse et vous allez aimer vos mains. Ce sont les seules mains que vous avez. Vous n'allez pas aller chercher d'autres. Donc apprendre à l'éduquer progressivement. And by practicing, you will love it. If your hands were too hard and rough, don't worry. As you go along, they will get used to the job and they will do it. They are the only hands you have, so stay with them. And it was a pleasure. We want to thank Mr. Johnson, who did this wonderful production, handling this magic behind the screen for us to be able to bring Shadows to you. We have a lot of thanks that we have to give the management of My Media TV, the BT Group, especially Mr. Leonard, for supervising this program. You have the number on the screen. It's meant for you to send us messages about your concerns, your worries, and your needs in terms of your mental health and your well-being, and we will be able to come to your help. Le numéro sur l'écran, c'est pour vous d'envoyer les messages et les WhatsApp pour nous partager votre impression sur les missions, vos besoins, vos soucis de santé mentale, vos challenges de aimer la personne que vous êtes et le vivre le mieux possible. Donc il faut nous envoyer le message, on va vous revenir tout de suite, donner vos avis également. Et nous vous remercions d'avoir assisté à cette émission jusqu'à la fin. We want to thank you, loving people, lively people, for having held true to Shadows. See you rebroadcast on Sunday, 7:30 p.m. See you next Friday. Love you.